Once again, the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) continues its run of embarrassing defeats in the legal system, as reported in today's news. At this point, I would go so far as to say that the SEC and Gary Gensler are now in a scenario where things are either going to go well or go poorly. The Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) is currently clinging to life by the barest of threads. And the reason why this is, of course, a significant piece of news is that for every setback that the SEC suffers, which further undermines their credibility, there is another enormous victory for Rippler and xrp, which strengthens their case in their own litigation. First and foremost, as we can see from Chad's death grasp, the United States Supreme Court Chevron, regulatory bodies like as the Securities and Exchange Commission are no longer permitted to establish their own regulations. This is an extremely enormous victory for cryptocurrency, and of course it is also a victory for Rippler and xrp. This is due to the fact that the SEC's influence and strength are diminishing by the second. A federal judge has partially rejected the complaint that the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) filed against Changpeng Zhao, the founder of Binance. This is breaking news from the blockchain every day, and it is another nail in their coffin. This is yet another significant victory for clarity in relation to the sales of digital assets on the secondary market. Consequently, this decision made by Binance has a direct impact and influence on the case dealing with XRP as well. District Judge Amy Berman Jackson has just denied the Securities and Exchange Commission's (SEC) argument that secondary sales of Binance's BNB token qualify as securities under the Howey test. She makes her decision by citing the view of Ripple's Judge Annalisa Torres, who stated that the economic reality of the token transactions was taken into consideration when applying Howey. As a result, you can now anticipate that lawyers for Coinbase, Kraken, and Consensus will use this ruling to strengthen their position in the dispute that they are now engaged in. In addition, the attorneys for the Securities and Exchange Commission are no longer able to argue that the Ripple verdict was only an anomaly and that no other judges would concur with it. However, Ripple was not an anomaly. In essence, it served as the basis, the model for each and every other lawsuit and case that followed. Ripple has been a pioneer in the idiot industry's efforts to fight back. This failure of the SEC can be traced back to Ripple as the direct reason. To put it another way, we are paying attention to Bitcoin maxis and XRP thieves. It is now that much more crucial for the rest of the industry to get to that clarity that they so desperately seek, and judges all over the place are now citing Ripple's case as a key factor in shaping their judgment. Judge Torres's observation that Ripple is not a security is now that much more important. And to tell you the truth, if we are being completely honest with ourselves in this situation, the Ripple vs. SEC case is a complete farce, and it has been pretty much from the beginning, owing to the fact that this single paragraph from Cyprus is all the evidence you require to comprehend and have agreement with that assertion. The first thing to note is that we have reached the tipping point for the widespread adoption of digital assets for use cases that occur in the real world. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Archex, Graham Rodford. And as we can see in this single paragraph from Archex, who, in case it wasn't already obvious, is working along with Ripple, we can see that they are now Ripple, the industry leader in blockchain and cryptocurrency solutions for businesses, and Archex in general, an extension to their existing. Collaboration was announced today by the United Kingdom's first financial conduct authority, regulated digital asset exchange broker and custodian. This extension is anticipated to bring hundreds of millions of dollars worth of tokenized real-world assets onto the XRP ledger over the course of the next few years, thereby establishing the XRP ledger as one of the leading blockchains for real-world asset tokenization. The news is completely and utterly enormous. The fact that industry leaders are totally in favor of Ripple and want to employ the technology is sufficient evidence to demonstrate that they have faith in Ripple. There is no other evidence that can demonstrate this. The fact that there is such a large demand for Ripple's technology and consequently a high demand to use XRP is sufficient evidence to convince you that XRP is going to be worth thousands of dollars and that this case has been a joke and has been a complete and utter waste of time from the very beginning. Since its inception, this legal proceeding has been essentially finished and done with. Furthermore, taking all of this into consideration, it is possible that we are on the verge of witnessing the dismissal, the firing of Gary Gensler very soon. Paul Barron provides some insight into the current predicament. Give it your whole attention. At this point in time, I believe that most likely you have the roundtable coming up with Mark Cuban and Ro Khanna heading into the White House. This is the prognosis that I have. May it be that the moment is right. In the middle of July, I believe it, is the 11th. Is it possible that this is the moment when Vice President Biden says, we need to go ahead and take action now and ask Mr. Gensler, thank you very much. This has been a privilege. We looked at that and thought to ourselves, hey, maybe it's going to be 700 days before Gensler is fired, considering that this was his full term. Perhaps that is a lot closer now than it was before. He would have an additional 7 or 6 days as a result of this. My gut tells me that he won't be around for very long. Because Gary Gensler has been holding the United States of America back for such a significant amount of time, especially now with the incoming regulations that are being implemented like MiCA, which is happening today, June 30th, the sheer explosion and adoption of cryptocurrency, and especially Ripple and XRP, will be mind-blowing once he leaves office or is fired. This is, of course, extremely significant news for Ripple at the moment, and it will be even more significant when they launch their very own RLUSD stablecoin. This is due to the fact that Ripple already has a presence in Europe prior to the implementation of rules. At this moment, XRP is the third most traded cryptocurrency in Europe, trailing only Bitcoin and Ethereum in terms of market capitalization. The choice of investors in this region is demonstrated by this dominance, which should not be ignored because it is a testimonial to that preference. When it comes to developing popularity in the midst of crypto regulations, XRP is already ahead of the majority of the cryptocurrency market. This is because it is a favored asset for traders in the European Union. Additionally, the reason why XRP will be worth thousands of dollars in the future is due to the fact that its genuine use case is intended for institutional investors rather than ordinary investors. And because there is a limited supply of XRP, financial institutions are going to require a significantly higher value for it in order to manage billions of dollars worth of transactions on a daily basis. This transition is closer than you may believe if you consider that retail is no longer the primary driver of the market. Rather, institutions are the ones who are driving the market. With the addition of on-chain data, this assumption brought to light the completely different playing field that cryptocurrency is currently operating on. The entities that are leading the market during this present bull cycle are high net worth individuals, corporations, and banks. These are the entities that are leading the market. Retail typically overestimates their influence in the financial market, and this paper here demonstrates exactly why it shouldn't. If you follow their activities, plans, and capital allocation, you will be able to decide the path that this bull cycle will go. If you want to make the most of the possibility to make money, or to quote Raoul Pal, the opportunity to make 100 trillion dollars in cryptocurrency, then you need to follow the money. Rippling XRP is in the process of exploding to heights that are unthinkable in the not too distant future, according to the money. Ripple has a collaboration with all of the institutions, governments, and central banks around the world. Because of this reason, we have never been in a situation like this before in our entire existence. Undoubtedly one of a kind, one that has never occurred in the course of human history. Dimitris Saraski, an individual who holds a significant position inside the organization, has confirmed in this interview that we are currently going through a paradigm transition in terms of our financial situation. Pay close attention. The cost of doing it on-chain is significantly reduced. It is not the way in which you drive the price axis, the x-axis, or the y-axis that is the primary outcome of the advantage. Not only does the demand curve look like that, but the cost curve also looks like that, all right? And the curve that represents the average cost over the long term is a straight line because it is a necessity. When it comes to the benefits of this kind of transaction, the single most important thing is to bring the cost curve down. One of the most significant advantages of tokenization is that it has the potential to develop network and liquidity fights, which effectively make these available investment options accessible to individuals who are currently hesitant to enter the market. In practice, this is not about lowering the cost curve, rather, it is about changing the demand curve to the right.